I never thought my life could unravel in a single moment, standing in the dim light of our suburban kitchen, the weight of 20 years of marriage pressing down on me like a storm about to break. My name is Claire, and I've always been the invisible one, hiding behind long sleeves and a forced smile, trapped in a routine so suffocating I sometimes forget to breathe. My husband, Mark, has been my rock, my steady harbor, until recently, when I started noticing the cracks in his calm, the cryptic glances, the late nights that left me questioning everything I thought I knew. Today, he asked me to step into a world I've never dared to explore, a secret hidden in the shadows of an empty college auditorium. What I found there changed me forever, but what did it cost us? Stick around to uncover the truth I never saw coming. Picture this. I'm standing at the kitchen window, watching the last sliver of daylight bleed into the horizon, the glass cool against my fingertips as I trace the outline of a world I've never quite felt part of. My name is Claire, and at 45, I've carved out a life that fits like a well-worn glove, comfortable, familiar, but maybe a little too tight in places I can't name. I'm the kind of woman who blends into the background, always draped in long-sleeved dresses or crisp conservative suits. My wardrobe a shield against the world. It's not just shyness. It's a need to keep up appearances, to be the perfect administrative assistant at the local accounting firm, where I spend my days buried in spreadsheets and polite small talk. I've built walls around myself, brick by brick, and most days I'm content to stay behind them. My husband Mark is the anchor in my quiet sea. At 48, he's a security guard at Westview Community College, a man of steady hands and a calm demeanor that's held me together for the 20 years we've been married. Our life in this modest suburban home is a clockwork routine. Dinner at 6:30 sharp, plates of meatloaf or casserole steaming on the table, followed by the hum of the television until 9, when we retreat to bed with barely a word beyond good night. It's stable. It's loving. But it's so painfully predictable that sometimes I catch myself staring into space, wondering if this is all there is. Beneath the surface, there's a restlessness, a whisper of longing for something, anything, to break the monotony. I've never dared to say it out loud, though. What would I even ask for? I don't know. I just feel it, like a shadow that follows me through every mundane day. Mark, though, he's always been my constant. There's a quiet intensity in his dark eyes, a depth that makes me feel seen in ways I can't explain. He's dependable, the kind of man who remembers to fix the leaky faucet before I even mention it, who knows my moods better than I do. But lately, I've noticed something different about him. Small things, really. Cryptic little comments muttered under his breath, lingering looks that hold something I can't read. It's as if he's carrying a secret just out of reach, and I'm left wondering if I've missed something vital after all these years of knowing him so well. Just last week, I remember it so clearly, he came home from his shift a little later than usual. His uniform was slightly wrinkled, the navy fabric clinging to his broad shoulders in a way that made my breath catch for reasons I don't often admit to myself. I was at the stove, stirring a pot of soup, the steam rising in lazy curls, when I felt his presence behind me. I turned, and there he was, standing in the doorway, his gaze fixed on me with an expression I couldn't. It's a quiet Thursday evening, and I'm hunched over my desk at the office, the hum of fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like a persistent insect. The faint smell of stale coffee lingers in the air, a reminder of the pot I brewed hours ago, now cold in the break room. My fingers ache from typing up the last of the quarterly reports, and I'm just about ready to call it a night when I hear the soft creak of the door. I look up, and there he is. Mark, standing in the doorway, his security uniform hugging his frame in a way that sends an unexpected jolt through me. The navy fabric looks almost black under the harsh lighting, and his badge glints like a tiny star pinned to his chest. My heart skips a beat, not just from surprise, but from the way he fills the space with a quiet intensity I've always found unsettlingly magnetic. He leans against the doorframe, one hand casually tucked in his pocket, his expression a strange mix of excitement and something else. Nervousness, perhaps? I can't quite pin it down, and that uncertainty prickles at the back of my mind. "Tomorrow's a technical break at the college," he says, his voice low and steady, but carrying an edge I don't often hear. "The campus will be empty. I want you to do something not entirely proper." The words hang between us, heavy and loaded, and I feel my breath catch. What on earth does he mean by that? My mind races, spinning through a dozen possibilities, each more daring than the last. But I can't voice any of them. I'm too stunned, too caught off guard by the way he's looking at me, like he's daring me to step out of the neat little box I've built around myself. I swallow hard, my reserved nature rearing up like a wall, telling me to say no, to demand an explanation right here and now. But there's a flicker of curiosity too, a tiny spark that I haven't felt in years, whispering to me to trust him, to see where this leads. "What do you mean?" I finally manage, my voice quieter than I intend. He just smiles, a small, knowing curve of his lips that sends a shiver down my spine, and says, "Just come to the auditorium tomorrow at noon. Wear something you feel good in." And with that, he turns and walks out, leaving me staring at the empty doorway, my heart pounding against my ribs like it's trying to break free. The rest of the evening passes in a blur. I finish the paperwork on autopilot, my thoughts tangled up in his cryptic invitation. As I drive home, my hands grip the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white, the hum of the engine doing little to drown out the questions looping in my head. What does he want from me? Why the auditorium? Why the secrecy? By the time I pull into our driveway, I'm no closer to answers, just a bundle of nerves and restless energy that keeps me tossing in. I step through the heavy double doors of the auditorium at Westview Community College, the air inside cool and still, carrying a faint, musty scent of old wood and fabric. There's an immediate tension that prickles along my skin, a heaviness I can't quite place, as if the very walls are holding their breath. The vast space stretches out before me, rows of seats cloaked in shadow, their faded red upholstery barely visible in the dim light filtering through high windows. Up ahead, the stage is bathed in a single, stark spotlight, a pool of brightness that seems to beckon and warn all at once. My footsteps echo on the polished floor, each one sounding louder than it should, amplifying the nervous thud of my heart. Then I see them. 3 figures near the stage, standing with a kind of purposeful stillness that sends a shiver down my spine. I recognize them instantly as part of Mark's security team, men I've seen in passing during visits to the campus, but never truly met. There's Tom, in his late 50s, broad-shouldered and solid as a brick wall, his weathered face etched with lines that speak of hard years and harder choices. Beside him is Richard, early 60s, tall and lean, his sly grin curling at the edges like he knows something I don't, his sharp eyes glinting with a dangerous kind of mischief. And then there's Victor, around 55, with piercing gray eyes that seem to cut right through me, his quiet confidence radiating in a way that's both unsettling and magnetic. Their gazes are intense, almost invasive, as if they can see past the carefully curated exterior I've spent years perfecting. The modest dress I chose this morning, the way I hold myself so tightly contained. I freeze, rooted to the spot, confusion and unease crawling over me like a second skin. Before I can speak, before I can even think of turning back, Mark's voice crackles through the auditorium speakers, calm but commanding, slicing through the silence. "This is for you, Claire. A gift. If you're ready, let go." My heart slams against my ribs, each word sinking in like a stone, heavy with implication. This isn't just a surprise, not some playful game or quirky gesture. It's an invitation, a challenge, to step beyond every boundary I've ever drawn around myself, to shatter the walls I've built brick by painstaking brick. My mind reels, a storm of emotions crashing through me. Shock, sharp and cold, grips me first, followed by fear, a trembling uncertainty about what this means, what I'm walking into. But beneath it all, buried deep, where I've tried to ignore it for years, there's a thrill, a dark, hungry pulse of excitement I can't deny, no matter how much I want to. I don't move at first, my feet glued to the floor, my breath shallow as I wrestle with myself. Every instinct screams to turn around, to run back to the safety of my predictable life, my spreadsheets, my long-sleeved shields. But then Tom steps forward, his heavy boots echoing on the wooden floor, each thud reverberating through the empty space. He gives me a reassuring nod, his expression steady, almost kind, despite the intensity in his eyes. Richard and Victor follow, their movements slow but deliberate, their presence filling the air with a weight that's both intimidating and strangely compelling. I feel the pull, the unspoken dare hanging between us, and something inside me shifts. With a shaky breath, I make my choice. My legs tremble as I take the first step toward the stage, then another, my resolve hardening with each movement until I'm standing in that pool of light, the warmth of the spotlight a stark contrast to the chill in my bones. I'm exposed here, vulnerable in a way I haven't been in years, maybe ever, and then they're closer. Tom's rough hand brushes my arm, a grounding touch that sends a jolt through me, awakening nerves I've long kept dormant. Richard's fingers trace a slow path down my back, light but deliberate, igniting a heat I didn't expect, a sensation that makes my breath hitch. Victor leans in, his voice low and suggestive, murmuring words I won't repeat, but that curl, here I am, center stage in the vast, echoing auditorium of Westview Community College, the spotlight searing into my skin like a physical touch, illuminating every inch of me in a way that feels both exhilarating and terrifying. My heart is a wild drum in my chest, each beat reverberating through the cavernous space as if it's trying to match the faint hum of the speakers overhead. The emptiness of the place presses in on me, the rows of shadowed seats stretching out like a silent audience, witnessing this moment of raw vulnerability. I can feel the weight of unseen eyes, knowing Mark is out there somewhere, behind the lenses of those cameras, capturing every second of this surreal scene. It's a thought that both unnerves me and sets my nerves alight with a strange, electric anticipation. Tom stands close now, his presence a solid anchor in this storm of sensation. His hand, rough and warm from years of hard work, gently lifts my chin, guiding my gaze to meet his. There's a steadiness in his weathered eyes, a quiet strength that strips away another layer of the armor I've worn for so long. The heat of his touch seeps into me, grounding yet igniting, a contrast that makes my breath catch in my throat. I can feel the calluses on his fingers, each ridge a story of its own. And it's as if that simple contact is rewriting something inside me, awakening a part of me I've kept buried under layers of restraint. Then there's Richard, circling closer with that sly, knowing grin that seems to see right through every defense I've ever built. His fingers linger at the small of my back, a deliberate, feather-light touch that sends a shiver racing down my spine, sharp and undeniable. It's a sensation that dances on the edge of too much, stirring a warmth that spreads through me like wildfire, challenging every notion of control I've clung to. His touch isn't just physical. It's a question, a quiet push against the boundaries I've drawn around myself, and I find my body responding in ways I hadn't anticipated, leaning into the heat despite the warning bells in my mind. Victor's nearness is a different kind of intensity. He leans in, his breath hot against my ear, a whisper of air that sends a jolt through my entire being as if every nerve is suddenly hyper-aware, tuned to his every move. His words, low and laden with unspoken promises, weave through me like a current, stirring thoughts I've never dared to entertain. I won't repeat what he murmurs, but the implication is clear, a suggestion of something untamed and unguarded, and it sets my pulse racing faster, my skin prickling with a mix of trepidation and a hunger I can't quite name. It's as if each of them, in their own way, is peeling back the layers of the reserved Claire I've always been, revealing someone new beneath, someone bold, someone craving connection, even if it's just for this fleeting, stolen moment. The auditorium around us feels like a world apart, time stretching and bending until each second feels like an eternity. The spotlight casts long, dramatic shadows across the stage, our silhouettes blending and shifting like players in some ancient, unspoken drama. Every sound echoes, the soft scuff of a boot, the rustle of fabric, my own ragged breathing bouncing off the walls, amplifying the intimacy of this space that should feel so vast and impersonal. It's surreal, like I've stepped into a dream where the rules of my everyday life no longer apply, where the humdrum of spreadsheets and polite nods is a distant memory, replaced by this pulsing, living moment that demands all of me. Inside, I'm transforming. I'm no longer the woman who hides behind long sleeves and measured smiles, the one who's always played it safe, kept every emotion neatly tucked away. There's a hunger growing in me, a need for this raw, unfiltered connection, this chance to feel something beyond the mundane. It's as if I've been asleep for years, and now, under this blinding light, surrounded by these men who seem to sense every unspoken thought, I'm finally waking up. Their actions are careful, deliberate, as if they can read the invisible lines I've drawn around myself, testing. Here I am, standing in the heart of this moment, the culmination of everything I've held back for years, erupting like a dam finally giving way. The spotlight above me burns hot, casting a glow that feels like it's not just illuminating my body, but my very soul, exposing every hidden desire I've buried beneath layers of restraint. My heart thunders in my chest, a relentless rhythm that drowns out the faint hum of the auditorium's silence, and I let myself be fully here, fully alive, for the first time in what feels like forever. Tom, Richard, and Victor are close, their presence a powerful force that guides me through this uncharted territory, a dance of subtle touches and hushed words that feel like a rebellion against the quiet, controlled life I've always known. Each brush of a hand, each low murmur, is a spark that ignites something wild within me, a fire I've never dared to let burn until now. I step further out of the shell I've built around myself, not just in thought, but in action. My fingers tremble as I reach up to loosen the top button of my dress, a small but deliberate act, shedding not just fabric, but the weight of the identity I've clung to for so long, the reserved, invisible Claire who never takes risks. The cool air of the auditorium kisses my skin as the material slips slightly, a tangible symbol of the barriers I'm tearing down. It's my choice. Every single move, every breath I take in this space. I'm not being led. I'm choosing to follow this path, to explore this side of myself, even as I feel the weight of Mark's gaze from somewhere beyond the stage. I know he's watching, witnessing this transformation, and that knowledge sends a thrill through me, sharp and electric, mingling with the heat already coursing under my skin. There's a moment where Tom's steady hand rests on my shoulder, his touch firm yet respectful, grounding me as I sway into this new reality. Richard's sly grin flashes as he steps closer, his fingers tracing a path along my arm, a gesture that speaks volumes without words, stirring a warmth that blooms deep within me. A silent invitation to let go even further. Victor's voice, low and intense, weaves through the air again, his breath warm against my neck as he offers words that paint vivid pictures in my mind, urging me to embrace the rush of this experience. It's a dance, a careful choreography of closeness and suggestion, each of us moving in sync, understanding the unspoken boundaries even as we push against them. The energy between us builds, a crescendo of sensation that I won't resist, letting it wash over me like a wave I've been running from for too long. My heart races, a frantic beat that matches the heat spreading through every inch of me, my skin alive with every fleeting contact, every whispered encouragement. I feel seen, truly seen, in a way I haven't been in years, maybe ever. It's not just about the physical, though that's undeniable, a rush that makes my breath come in shallow gasps. It's about the emotional release, the shedding of a skin I've outgrown. The life I've lived, bound by unspoken rules and traditional expectations, feels like a distant memory in this moment. I think of the vows I made to Mark all those years ago, and yes, there's a pang of betrayal that flickers through me, but it's not guilt. It's something else, something complex, a mutual understanding, a gift he's given me by orchestrating this, a chance to reclaim a piece of myself I didn't even know I'd lost. And in return, I'm giving myself this freedom, this permission to feel, to be more than the sum of my routines. The intensity builds to a peak, a shared rhythm that feels like it could shatter the very air around us, but it doesn't end in chaos. Instead, there's a quiet power to it, a culmination that leaves us all breathless yet connected, a silent agreement passing between us on this stage. As the moment ebbs, I find myself stepping back, my chest heaving as I catch my breath, the spotlight still warm on my skin. I lower myself to sit on the edge of As I sit on the edge of the stage, the spotlight still casting its warm glow over me, my breath slowly steadies, though my heart continues to race with the aftershocks of what just transpired. The auditorium is quiet now, the echoes of our shared intensity fading into the vast emptiness, leaving only the faint hum of my own thoughts. I'm still reeling, my skin tingling with the memory of every touch, every whispered word that pushed me beyond the boundaries I'd clung to for so long. It's as if I've stepped into a new skin, one that fits in a way I never imagined possible, raw and real and unapologetically mine. Then I hear the soft, deliberate sound of boots on the wooden floor, a familiar rhythm that pulls me from my introspection. I look up, and there's Mark, stepping out from the shadows beyond the stage, his security uniform still on, the navy fabric catching the edge of the light. His face is unreadable at first, a mask of stoic calm that I've seen 1,000 times over the years, but as he draws closer, I catch the flicker of something deeper in his dark eyes. Something tender, something proud. My chest tightens, a mix of anticipation and uncertainty swirling within me as he approaches. The air between us feels charged, heavy with unspoken questions and emotions, but it's not hostile. It's something else, something I can't quite name yet. He lowers himself to sit beside me on the stage's edge, his presence solid and grounding, the faint scent of his cologne mingling with the musty air of the auditorium. For a long moment, neither of us speaks. The silence stretches, thick and weighty, but it's not uncomfortable. It's as if we're both sifting through the magnitude of what just happened, trying to find the right words, or maybe realizing that words might not be enough. I steal a glance at him, taking in the lines of his face, the way his jaw is set but not clenched, the way his hands rest loosely on his knees, betraying no judgment, no anger. It's disarming, and I feel a lump rise in my throat, a wave of vulnerability washing over me now that it's just the two of us. Finally, he breaks the silence, his voice low and steady, cutting through the quiet like a lifeline. "You were magnificent, Claire. I always knew there was more beneath those eyes. His words hit me like a gentle tide, unexpected and powerful, washing away any lingering doubt or fear I might have harbored. I turned to face him fully, searching his expression for any hint of resentment or regret. But there's none. Instead, there's a quiet understanding, a depth of acceptance that I hadn't anticipated. It strikes me then, with a clarity that steals my breath, that this wasn't just for me. This moment, this orchestrated liberation, it was for him too. A way to see me break free, to witness me step into a version of myself he's always believed was there, even if he had to watch from a distance. I don't know how to respond at first, my mind still catching up with my heart. But then I find my voice, soft and a little unsteady, but honest. I didn't know I could be this. I didn't know I needed to be. He nods, his gaze never leaving mine, and we sit there for what feels like hours, though it's probably only minutes. We don't touch, not yet. There's no need to rush, no need to fill the space with anything other than the raw truth of our words. We talk about what this means, for me, for us, for the life we've built together over 2 decades. I confess things I've never said aloud, not even to myself, about the restlessness that's haunted me, the longing for something beyond the predictable rhythm of our days. And I tell him, with a conviction that surprises even me, that I feel no regrets. None. This day, this experience, it's changed me irrevocably, carved a new path through the landscape of who I am, and I'm not sorry for walking it. Mark listens, really listens, his eyes steady and attentive, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.